Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show, and I'm excited to read this topic today. People pleasing. Why do we do it? A lot of us do. But why? We got to change our ways. And thanks to our author, our speaker, our life coach, Savor Life with Diana, joining us live here today. We're talking today more about that. And she's here really to tell you more about the work she's doing to help you, if you're listening out there, ladies, how you can avoid that burnout and, of course, be as ambitious as you are, as you're meant to be, and really elevate yourself. So welcome back to the show today. How are you?
I am fabulous, Jill. I'm so excited about the holiday season. I'm having lots of fun with my little daughter.
Oh, how was your Thanksgiving, by the way?
It was good. It was really delicious. I got a chance to cook, which was really fun.
Which is also a chef too, everyone. Yes.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun, and it's always just fun to create those food memories with my daughter.
It is. And the holidays, these are the times that we're going to be around more people, more family, more friends. And a lot of us feel the tendency to say, well, yes to everything. It's like that Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man. Was that what it was called? I don't know if you ever saw it, but my sister is one of those people. She says yes to everything, and then guess what? She never follows through. So I'd rather be an honest person than a yes person. Tell me a little bit about today's topic, if you don't mind.
I want to talk about the addiction that many of us have, the addiction we have to saying yes. It feels safe for us, but it actually is costing us everything. And so if your calendar looks more like a game of Tetris gone wrong, if you have this like overfilled calendar, it's not proof of how much you care. It's proof of how much you fear. What I've found is that when we're saying yes to everything and everyone, the truth is that we're actually trying to please other people, and those people still won't value us the way that we want, and we end up left drained, invisible, and resentful. And so if you can relate, you are not alone. This episode is for you. And what I want to deliver by the end of this episode, so we've all heard that people pleasing, if we want to stop it, just stop saying yes. Start saying no. But that's not the real problem. And by the end of this episode, I want to give you an actual solution that you can use that doesn't require for you to say no, but requires for you to think about this a little bit differently. So we're going to get beyond that surface level solution of just say no. And we're going to get into, if it's not really about saying no, what's actually driving your yes. And we're going to get into like why you're addicted to saying yes, how winning that fake favor is causing you to lose ultimately, and then finding a way out of that trap, that binary thinking trap that doesn't involve, again, saying no, doesn't involve setting boundaries around people that shut them out. Because we're going to have a fresh approach by the end of this episode, and it's going to change everything.
Oh my goodness. I love it. This is a great thing because it is this time of year. And I used to be a yes person many years ago, and then I stopped. And then some of my family members say, then I became a bitch. And I said, no, I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't want to drive all the way there on this holiday. I'm with my kids. I want to make my own but we have to, like I always just say yes. And then I gave up. And then I became a little bit of a biatch, sorry. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, we need to stick up for ourselves and do what's right for us. And I am thankful for this conversation because this is my sister. She still has this problem. Maybe I can learn some tips to shed and to share with her today. So why do we feel the need to always say yes? Let's start there. What is it with that? Why are we addicted to always saying yes?
Yeah. So saying yes isn't just a habit. It's an emotional addiction that's really indicative of fear, societal conditioning, and the need for approval. People pleasing is actually a learned behavior, and many of us women do it because we were conditioned as kids by fear of rejection, by judgment, by other people calling us a biatch, right? Like we're kind of told that saying no is not acceptable.
Yeah.
So we stop saying yes because we care.
Yep.
We're saying yes because we're scared. We're scared of the rejection. We're scared of conflict. We're scared of being seen as selfish or being a biatch, right? And that's how it becomes not just a habit, but a way for us to survive. So in order for us to survive, in order for us to continue to receive acceptance, we get conditioned to believe that saying yes keeps us safe from that rejection, the conflict, being seen as difficult.
Yes.
It becomes a survival strategy. Yes becomes how we're taught to avoid that, those difficult conversations, to avoid rocking the boat. And we think that saying yes is protecting us, but it's actually the very thing that's keeping us stuck, feeling drained, invisible, and ultimately leading to burnout.
Thank you. So we got to stop this. We need your help. Diana, what do we do next? Because, you mentioned winning fake favor or losing yourself. Explain this concept to us.
Yeah. So we think that we're getting approval. We think we're winning approval, but what's really happening is we're not being genuine. So that act of generosity causes us to lose ourselves. We're addicted to not helping people, but we're looking for that approval. We're looking for that safety. We're addicted to not being busy, right? We're addicted to being needed. And it's as if like that, yes, satisfies that addictive craving that we have in the minute, but that actually leaves us feeling more trapped. It's a form of self-sabotage. It leaves us feeling more invisible. And we think that we're being nice, but we're not actually being kind. We're not being kind to the other person, and we're not being kind to ourselves. So when we're saying yes to everybody else and not to ourselves, we're losing ourselves. Yes, we are winning superficially, but we actually are losing long term, and we're losing ourselves, but we're also losing our relationships. When we say yes, it's almost like a quiet apology just for existing. It's like we're saying to people, please don't leave me. Please don't think less of me. Please don't think I'm difficult. Please don't think that I'm a biatch. And when we do that, that's the reason that we're burned out. It's the reason that we're overworked, why we're overfulfilled, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So yes, our family tends to bring out this pattern, especially during the holidays. But I would bet that it's not just your family that you're saying yes to all the time. Where are you doing it at work? Where are you doing it with your kids when you really want to say and should say no? Ultimately, talking about the kids, right? Like there are generational consequences of people pleasing. When we're making them think that like this is the way to be, to say yes when we really mean no, we're teaching our kids that their needs come second too. And that's how we perpetuate the cycle of burnout. And it becomes the price of what they see as being loved. So imagine your daughter, if you have a daughter or a child, living their life the way that you are, where you're saying yes all the time. Like, is that really what you want for them?
No, we don't. And you're right. I do it with my kids too. You got me thinking about that because there's so much on the activity list. You'll see as they get older, right? And it's just always saying yes to this birthday, that party. Oh, yes to that. Well, we got the PTA Santa breakfast this Saturday. Oh, we had the Santa breakfast at the clubhouse this past Sunday. Oh, then we had the birthday party at Explore. Then it just doesn't end, right? And it's just yes, yes, yes. And it's like I'm wearing myself out. There has to come a point where I have to make a decision. Think about me, which honestly I don't do as much. And look what it does. That's why I'm sick.
And it's the long game, right? You're saying no to something temporarily, but you're really saying yes in the long term, in the long big scheme of things. And we'll actually talk about how we can actually help frame that, not just for ourselves, but for our kids. How do we not have to say no to them, but how can we show them a collaborative model instead of this binary of, it's either I'm sacrificing or I'm either sacrificing and saying yes, or I'm being, stubborn and I'm saying no, right? So how do we come up with something that actually isn't either of those options?
Yeah. Well, what do we do? How do we do it? Walk us through it because, it's a hard habit to break, like with anything. Where do we begin? With what little baby step do we need to do to start our way on this journey of becoming, I don't want to say yes anymore, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah. So when we're stuck in this place where we realize that saying yes feels draining, but saying no feels impossible. It's like we're stuck in a yes-no trap, right? And what if there could be another way, right? Like we were saying. So what if you don't just have to say no to protect your time, you just have to say yes differently. So I want to introduce this concept. I call it yes and it's something that I learned from one of my coaching mentors, Mary Morrissey. And yes and is this empowering middle ground that aligns with our values, right? Boundaries don't have to feel harsh. They don't have to be biatchy, right? Yes and is a strategy that lets us protect our energy while staying connected to others. So this is a way to have boundaries that don't shut doors, but actually open the ones that matter. So this way, our boundaries aren't selfish. They're actually the most loving thing that we can give, not just to ourselves, just to others, but to our kids, to the people who are watching us say yes when we don't want to say yes. So different ways that we can actually do this, right? So say you get asked to do something in the workplace and you want to say yes, but at the same time, your schedule is overloaded, right? We talked about that overwhelming game of Tetris.
Always,
So if you want to say yes, you can say, yes, I can take this on, and I'll need more time to deliver my best work.
Yeah.
So rather than doing it in their time frame, you're saying, yes, I can do this, and I need this to do it.
I love it. I love it. We have to be open and honest. And I'm going to say, well, my life coach told me to say so. Not the right answer. Is it? I'm sorry. The accountability factor. I know.
Yeah. You can say like, yes, I'd love to say yes to this, and I'd love to find a way that this can work within my time constraints or within my energy constraints. Or say you got asked to work on the holidays, right? Which I know doesn't happen for you necessarily, but if you got asked
my whole
to work
life
on the
I did. This is the only time I worked every holiday until 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you could say, yes, I can take care of this, and I'd love to find a way that we can do this while working around the holidays. So turn it into something collaborative, right? Let's work together to find a way. I'm willing to be a team player. I'm willing to take this on. And I want to work with you to find a way that we can do what you want, and at the same time honor what I want, right? So it's like, again, in the sense of the holidays, with family, right? We can say they want, you're talking about like, here's another birthday, here's another breakfast, here's another event, right?
Yeah.
And they're asking you to do all these different things. And you can say, yes, I can help with this event. And I can only commit to this one task. Or I can only commit to staying for half an hour. Or I can only help with this component of it. Right. And again, if they don't like that, you can always say, well, here are my constraints. I want to be a part of this. And I also have this constraint. I have this other consideration. How can we work this? How can we make this work? And that way, like, instead of it being like a hard no, where you're purely sacrificing what matters to you, or you're completely shutting out what they want, you're looking for this collaborative middle ground, like almost like a win-win situation where they can have what you want, which is, or they can have what they want, which is time with you, and you can have what you need, which is time for yourself, or not to feel like a crazy person, or not to work on the holidays. So that yes, and it really turns boundaries into bridges, even with our friends, right? So an example we can see with our friends, they want us to hang out. Oh my God, how many times during the holidays do you have like a million plans or a million people who want to see you and all these different things?
Let's have an ugly sweater Christmas party. I got that one the other day. Then I got my cousin texting me who doesn't have any kids, and she's like 44, and she's like, hey, let's plan a date at the city on Wednesday. We're all going to go this and this. And I'm like, Alyssa, I have work. I have kids. I have, like she doesn't, and she just keeps asking. And then I say no all the time. And I feel like she's going to hate me, but I'm like, why should I understanding that? I finally I'm saying no. But anyway, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, well, so instead you could say with a friend, right, who wants to hang out, but it's almost because you also don't want them to feel like you don't want to hang out, which is what I'm hearing from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I feel bad, but she's not getting it. I'm like, I can never go out. I have children and I'm single. Like, I just want to yell, but I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be like, yes, I'd love to hang out, and let's find a way where we could do this. Maybe you could come over. Let's plan for a day when I'm less slammed at work, or let's plan for this, right? Like, I think that sometimes when it feels like it's yes or no, it doesn't feel like we can ask other people or share with them like what our boundaries or our constraints are. So instead, when we say, like, well, but I have the kids all week, or I'm running in between this thing or that thing. How can we make this work? So I think that for me, one of the things I like with this yes and strategy is I share my boundary, or I share what I think of as my solution. And then I ask, like, how can we make this work? And what that does is it puts the other person in the mindset of collaboration and creativity. Instead of just completely shutting down. It's like you're showing yourself respect. You're telling them what you need. You're telling them that you want to help with what they need. And you're showing yourself truly as a team player. And that actually ends up being like a building and bonding experience. It builds the relationship up instead of breaking it down. So you get to tell your friend, like, yes, I do want to hang out. I would love to see you. And my schedule is a little crazy. I'm wondering if there's any way you could meet me a little closer to where I live, or would you be willing to hang out with me and the kids, or whatever that looks like? Right? There's got to be a solution, and that's that's the thinking switch that we have here. Is instead of thinking it's this or this, what if there are infinite solutions available, and we just have to think of them? What if there is another way, right? So this way of setting boundaries isn't selfish, right? And it also is ultimately collaborative. It builds bridges to a better life, to better relationships, right? The no doesn't have to be rejection. It can be redirection. When we say yes and, it gives us the power to say yes to ourselves while still saying yes and showing up for others who simply want to spend time with us, who are asking for a helping hand. When we turn those boundaries into bridges instead of walls, that's how we begin to stop overcommitting ourselves and start reclaiming our time, our energy to create something that, could be even better, right? So maybe your friend is thinking like, oh my God, Jill just needs a break. She just needs like, a day in the city. That's what would relax her. But reality is that it would just like stress you out to have to figure out what to do with the kids, like to get into the city. I lived in Forest Hills for a long time. So I totally get, oh my God, it's like how many hours to get in, and then it's how many hours to get out.
And like, then to pay a babysitter, it's just not worth my while spending $500 for the day. No.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this is supposed to relax me, but it's costing me. So sometimes if we just share what those boundaries or those constraints are, like we can come up with those more creative solutions, and we can help our friend also feel like, I do really want to see you. I do really want to do something with you and bond, but the suggestion that you have doesn't quite work for me. Can we come up with something else? Right. And so again, it's this idea that life is not really binary. It's infinite possibilities.
Yep. I love this. This is a great conversation. You're helping me out because there's a lot of people in my life who are that way, as I mentioned. And it's like, how do you avoid it? And so I always say, well, why don't you come over and have with the kids? But this cousin in particular just doesn't get it. She just wants to go out and drink and have fun. And that's not me or my lifestyle. And she should know by now, but she doesn't. So I feel like I really do have to be a little stricter and say, finally, like, I'm never going out with you. Not that I don't want to, but I'm not. It's just not that I don't like you, but this, I just have to, like, and my still breaks me, but she still asks me, like, she doesn't really understand that I really can't ever go out. And she always asks. And my sister has 2 older kids. It's the same thing, though. We're on this group text, and she's like, she doesn't get it. I'm like, I know. Well, how do I make her get it without insulting her? We've said no to her for years now, but she still keeps coming around. So, and then we say, we'll come over to the kids. Oh, well, no, I want to go out, blah, blah, blah. And so it was an excuse.
Yeah. And so instead it could be like, going out that way just isn't part of our lifestyle anymore. And I know that maybe coming over to hang out with the kids isn't yours. Like, what else could there be that we could do that would feel like something that would, that both of us could really like? Because there's so many other things than just come over to the house or go out. Like there's so many different options. And so if she's not accepting your option and you're not accepting hers, like, then it's like, okay, well, what else could we do? I mean, we love each other. We're cousins. What are other things that we've done that could work? Is there a place where we could meet in the middle? So maybe, you're only spending like an hour driving or 30 minutes driving instead of like 2 hours and $500, right? Like, I think that if we show people like, hey, this is the reason why I'm saying no. But oh my God, I would so love to see you and hang out with you. And like, I want to have this relationship with you. That's where like because I mean, imagine also on the other person's side when we're saying no all the time, they can feel rejected.
Exactly.
They can feel like you don't want to spend time with me. They can feel like I'm asking for help and you don't want to help me. Um, and that can lead to people not asking for help or not
Yeah.
asking you to hang out or those sort of things, or it can lead to the breakdown of relationship. But if instead we can say, yes, I'd love to help you. Yes, I'd love to see you. And I'm wondering if we can do it
Offer a
in
solution.
January.
Yeah.
Or I'm wondering if we could do it like this. Here is my constraint. I can't do it before the holidays. It's crazy. You know, the boys have a million things going on. And I feel like a chicken with my head cut off. So it would really just stress me out more to go
Yes.
out. Right. Like, so, and sometimes those conversations, like it's tough in text, right? Like it's
You're
just,
right.
it doesn't.
You're right. We should talk. That's it. We should
Yeah.
talk. We've never talked. We always text.
Yeah. So again, like saying no doesn't have to feel harsh, and saying yes doesn't have to feel like sacrifice.
Nope.
So there's real power in creating those boundaries and coming up with collaborative solutions that align with your goals, with your energy, with your peace. And in this episode, like what we've done is we've really just scratched the surface of why people pleasing drains us and how we can break free. But there are actually so many more habits for us to uncover, and we are going to talk about them throughout our episode arc. But in my free 30-minute masterclass, Your Chronic Stress Breakthrough, I actually expose more of those patterns that keep us stuck in the stress and the overcommitment. And just by attending the masterclass, you actually can feel a release, a shift, and more freedom. It actually opens you up to new ideas. You can find the link to start that chronic stress breakthrough at the top of my website, savorlifewithdiana.com. And like really, this is just the very beginning. But again, it's this idea of if we feel stuck in a trap, it's likely that we're not looking elsewhere, right? Like there's that story about, I think it's in U Squared, one of Price Pritchett's books about a quantum leap, where he's talking about a fly that's stuck inside and it just keeps trying to like hit the window, right, to get out. And it's like hitting the window harder and harder and harder and harder, thinking that like somehow if it just tries harder, it's going to work, instead of realizing that if they just looked, like pulled themselves back a little bit, looked for a different solution, there's a door that's open right there that they could literally fly right through. So I think that's the idea here is, instead of it, if what we're doing isn't working, if we want a different result, how do we begin to step back and look for that different solution instead of trying to do the same thing that we've been doing that obviously isn't working and that like isn't getting through?
Oh my goodness. Can I just ask you, as a mom, do you find yourself, after you had a kid, more of a people pleaser or less of one? Did having a child change that for you?
I really do think about what we talked about today with like, I'm modeling for my daughter.
Yeah.
And so even at her young age, even at like 18 months, I think like, what am I showing her if I say yes to all these things when I really mean no? Because I believe that even at this very young age, subconsciously, she's picking up when I'm doing things I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. So I want for her to know and to see like, okay, like if a solution somebody brings to me isn't working with me, maybe I can point out the parts of it that I would like or that do work for me, but also share where's my boundary or where does that not work for me. And by that, like, again, I just find that the more that I have that, instead of it being adversarial, yes, no, right, win, lose, what if it's like, is there a way that both of our needs could get met? Is there a way that we could see, the good for everybody, where everybody wins a little bit, right? And It really does come from this realization. It doesn't even have to be that the other person lost some for us to win, right? That again it's part of the yes, no, win, lose paradigm, right? The world isn't binary. There are ways where both of us could win, right? Where neither of us has to sacrifice.
I love that.
And having gone through divorce, like in mediation, one of the things that I had learned was like really figure out what does the other person care about and what's like the hard no for the other person. Mm-hmm. And then figure out, okay, well, where are we amenable here? Where can I respect what you care about most and where can I respect what I care about most? And is there a way that we can really make sure that both of us are getting what we want?
Beautiful. So life coach, she's also quite the mediator. And I love how you say escape the binary thinking trap. It's so true. So again, if you are just tuning in, you missed the episode. I hope you didn't. You got to watch it again, but stop people pleasing without saying no and offering that solution and having that conversation. And I think that's a great start, and it's going to take the weight off you, right? A lot. As an author, as a speaker, as the Burn Through Catalyst speaker, I should say, how do we reach out to you, contact you? And by the way, when is the next, do you have a group session that's starting?
I have ones coming up, but just based on when this episode comes out, the best way to reach out to me is to go on my website. You can find my email, you can find my Instagram, my YouTube. I'm actually in the process of changing a bunch of those things. So my website is still savorlifewithdiana.com, SAVOR lifewithdiana.com. But on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, you can find me at Diana Bejasa Speaks. So that's DianaBejasa Speaks.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you here, and great conversation. And again, you got to check out that movie. I'm trying to, is it called Yes Man? But it's by Jim Carrey. And long story short, he says yes to everyone, and then it's just a great movie. But watch it because it just reminds me of this. And then you realize, okay, maybe I shouldn't be that person saying yes. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, everything. And relax. The holidays are here. So thank you. Take some pressure off yourself. Be open and honest. And, people may judge, but don't. Just be your true self. Thank you. Thanks for the conversation, Anne. You have a great day, okay?
All right,
as always, you too. Enjoy your day, and we'll chat again next week. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is busy, I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.